Nigeria's population is estimated at about 180 million and still counting. And obviously, all of these people will need a roof over their heads. Nigeria for now has a housing deficit of over 18 million. Many houses that have been built, and indeed are expensive and usually not environmentally friendly. But one man believes that houses can be built in a cost-effective way and still be environmentally friendly.
Nigerian Oladimeji Olowu and his wife are proud of their new home. It is one of the first houses in Nigeria made almost entirely from shipping containers. This building, sited in Lagos, one of the largest cities in the country, looks quite ordinary. But these nearly finished houses are anything but ordinary. For Oladimeji Olowu, it was a good opportunity to acquire a solidly constructed and comfortable home.
In Nigeria, there's a lot of application actually of containers, but it's mostly for offices or for shops or temporary living quarters by construction companies or in the oil sector. So my question is, we don't have a shortage of shops in Nigeria, or a shortage of, the shortage that we have is housing, particularly housing for lower income.
The containers provide the basic structure of the house. Each container can be outfitted with custom features depending on the owner's budget. The interior paneling is made from discarded packaging material, and that makes these homes both environmentally friendly and very affordable. A 4-bedroom duplex like this one costs about 17 million naira, which is about 40,000 euros. Olowu is particularly proud of the solar power system. It supplies energy at no extra cost, making him independent of the public grid. But there are other environmentally friendly features too.
We're still continuing with that thing of having the house well ventilated. The windows are large, they are low, and when air comes in, it can go easily through the sliding door and then out through the window. So that way, very little need of the installed air conditioning and the fan. So whether it's dry season or rainy season, the house will be appropriately cooled.
There's a serious housing shortage in Nigeria. Over 100,000 homes are constructed every year, but that still fails to meet the demand. Experts say that the country needs to build about 700,000 homes a year to alleviate the housing shortage within the next decade. Upcycling containers offers one sustainable solution, and with the help of architects, the exterior and interior can be designed according to the client's needs.
The clients require some things about building a house that reduces the cost of maintenance, like cost of electricity, no need to put in so much air conditioning or lights in during the day. So we have to emphasize that in the design, making use of windows that are much larger, doors that are larger, so that it brings in more light during the day. You don't have to switch on your bulbs, and it brings in air as well, so you have a very good experience.
Recycling containers, by reducing them to molten metal, is an expensive process. Upcycling them as a building material saves money, reduces the housing deficit, and is more environmentally friendly. And for many, it is a quick and affordable way into a new home.
Germans increasingly want to use the sun as a source of power and are installing solar panels on their roofs. But what happens when the sun isn't shining? A German company called Sonnen thinks it has the answer. It already has 10,000 subscribers in Germany and wants to expand to Austria, Switzerland, and even Australia. A company invented a system for sharing the solar-powered electricity. Let's see how that works.
Solar panels now adorn the roof of Ingolf Pernis's house in southern Germany. They produce enough electricity to power his home and share with others. Not only with large power companies, but also other private households. It's called power sharing. In the cellar, a battery stores any excess production. Ingolf Pernis can see on his computer just how much electricity his panels have generated and how much he's used. Sometimes he has to draw on other people's power, but usually he has enough to share.
When I generate a lot of electricity because the sun just happens to be shining here, but perhaps not in Bavaria or other parts of Europe, then my excess energy can be channeled there. It's a great concept.
At 40%, renewable electricity is already an important component of Germany's power mix. But until recently, it was hard to distribute privately generated power. The Sonnen company is trying to change that. It makes batteries which store the solar power. 10,000 households here are already hooked up to the Sonnen network. The map shows where they're located. The company also wants to move into Austria and Switzerland. Sharing electricity is relatively easy.
It's pretty easy in Germany. We've got a system where everyone can use the electricity grid, the same as everyone who's got internet can use a variety of telecommunications connections. That means we pay network operators to use the grid. That means at any point in Germany, we can generate electricity as well as supply it.
The system turns house owners with solar modules mounted on their roofs into power providers. Ingolf Pernes is now both a regular consumer and power utility. On top of that, he saves money, cutting his electricity bill almost in half. Not least because he's now independent of the large energy concerns.
The most satisfying aspect, of course, is that we're making a small contribution to climate protection and limiting carbon dioxide emissions. That's the most important thing. And yes, making a financial saving on the side, at least once the plant has been running for years and paid for itself, that's a welcome side effect I'm happy to take along.
His household is only one example of sharing climate-friendly electricity. Plenty of others could soon be joining the system.
So now we visit the Bayaka of the Congo Basin. These pygmy people live in the Central African Republic, and like many indigenous people, they see their culture under threat by outside influences. That is why the Bayaka, old and young, have come together to preserve the lore and knowledge of their ancestors. How are they doing that, Sharon?
For thousands of years, the Bayaka have lived with and from the rainforest. They have always treated the forest with care because they see themselves as part of it. Preserving it is part of their cultural heritage. The Ndima Kali group is trying to carry that tradition on into the 21st century. Ndima means forest in Bayaka. Kali is the word for river in Sango, a widespread indigenous language in the region.
Here on the Sanga River, in the southwest of the Central African Republic, this boat is on a kind of rescue mission. The rescuers call themselves Ndima Kali, and they want to save the culture of the Bayaka and Sanga people. The group makes regular trips to the rainforest to keep the ancient wisdom of their people alive. The main purpose is to learn about the forest and its spirit, which they have to ask for permission to enter. They learn through observation, guided by Jean Bolokoa, one of the few people who still has the ancient knowledge.
Children, look at this bark. If you boil it in water, the water turns red. Drink it. It's good for a stomachache or sore throat.
For thousands of years, these communities have lived sustainably, taking only what they need for food and medicine from the woods and the river. The members of Ndima Kali are trying to preserve this archaic way of life in modern times and to protect the forest. They're supported by nature conservation organisation WWF. The rainforest in the Congo Basin is under threat. Timber companies are logging, poachers killing wildlife, mines destroying the landscape. And modern life is making inroads into even the most remote villages, replacing the age-old traditions of Central Africa. Marshal Betole heads the group. He's well aware of the dangers that poses. Technology has impacted culture. Most young people just want to listen to the music they hear on the radio. They go to the village to hear music instead of sitting together round the fire, like their ancestors did, playing drums, singing and dancing. This rainforest camp is the main gathering place for Dima Kali. They've produced a book about the forest's medicinal plants. The group visits schools in the region to remind more children and young people about the close ties their ancestors had to the forest.
The forest makes our children strong. When a Bayaka goes abroad and returns, he has to go into the forest to connect with his culture again. The forest is everything to us. It grows our medicine and food. The forest is our city.
Tree climbing skills are also part of the Bayaka's heritage. In the forest canopy, they find honey and caterpillars, which they can harvest time and again without chopping down the trees. But for these teenagers, it's not just about protecting the environment. If you can't climb a tree with the rope, you won't get a woman. But if you can climb up to the top, you can get all the young women from the village.
A man is only worth something if he can climb a tree. I couldn't love a man who couldn't do it.
It's also fun and makes Dima Kali more attractive to young people. The day in the forest ends with traditional dances. One boy has symbolically transformed into the spirit of the woods. They dance the Boyabe, which was traditionally performed the evening before a hunt. But these young people aren't going hunting. They're heading back to their homes. And once they've left, the spirit of the forest returns to the quiet green space beneath the trees.
So there's plenty of people doing their bit for the environment all over Africa and in Europe. But that's all we have time for today. Many thanks for watching. Until next time, it's goodbye from Nairobi.
And goodbye from Lagos, Nigeria. If you want to know more about us, follow us on our social media pages. We will be back next week, same time. Until then, thanks for joining us for our Pan-African and European Environmental Show. Bye-bye.